Imagine a civilization so enigmatic that even the Romans found them mysterious. Welcome to the world of the Etruscans, a people whose myths are woven into the very fabric of history.
The Etruscans, you say? I've heard they left quite the mark on history.
Indeed, they did. Our story begins in ancient Italy, where the Etruscans thrived long before Rome's rise. They were known for their rich culture and, most intriguingly, their mythology, which was a melting pot of influences.
Influences? Like what?
Picture this: Greek gods mingling with native Italian deities, creating a pantheon so unique that it baffled even the Greeks themselves. The Etruscans didn't just borrow gods, they transformed them.
Transformed? How so?
Take Apollo, for example, the Etruscan version of Apollo. He wasn't just a god of the sun and music, but also a deity of healing and prophecy.
Prophecy, you say? That does pique my curiosity.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The Etruscans believed in divination and interpreting omens. Their priests, the haruspices, could read the will of the gods in the entrails of animals.
A bit gruesome, but fascinating nonetheless. What about their afterlife beliefs?
Ah, the afterlife. The Etruscans envisioned an underworld ruled by Aida, similar to the Greek Hades, but their version was less about eternal damnation and more about a continuation of life's pleasures and pains.
So, an afterlife reflecting this life. Interesting concept.
Exactly. Now, let's delve deeper into their myths. The Etruscans had tales of heroes and gods that would make even Hollywood envious.
I'm all ears.
Now, let's explore the Etruscan Pantheon, a celestial drama where gods and goddesses played out the fate of humanity.
This sounds like it's going to be epic.
Oh, it is. The Etruscans didn't just have a pantheon, they had a full-blown divine soap opera. Let's talk about Tinia, the king of the gods, akin to Zeus or Jupiter, but with a twist.
A twist? I'm intrigued.
Tinia was not just a thunderbolt-hurling deity, he was a god of order, ensuring the balance of the cosmos. And his wife, Uni, was not your typical queen of heaven.
What made her different?
Uni was a goddess of wisdom and war, but she also presided over marriage and childbirth, embodying the duality of creation and destruction.
A powerful figure, then. Any other notable deities?
Absolutely. Meet Turin, the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility. But unlike her Greek counterpart, Aphrodite, Turin was also a symbol of vitality and health.
Love and health, a beautiful combination.
Indeed. And let's not forget about the hero god Hercule, the Etruscan Hercules. His feats were legendary, and his strength was unrivaled.
Hercule, huh? Sounds like he could bench press a mountain.
Probably could, but Hercule was more than muscle. He was a protector of mankind and a symbol of virtue.
A true hero, then. The Etruscans had quite the lineup of divine characters.
They did, and each one played a crucial role in the cosmic theater. But it's not just about the gods. It's about how the Etruscans interacted with them.
How so?
Through rituals and ceremonies, the Etruscans communicated with their gods, seeking guidance and favor. It was a spiritual dialogue that shaped their society.
A conversation with the divine. That's powerful.
Exactly, and that's what made the Etruscan religion so fascinating. It was a blend of fear, respect, and love for the divine.
A complex relationship, indeed.
As we delve deeper into the Etruscan world, let's uncover the symbols and rituals that connected them to the divine.
Symbols and rituals? That's the essence of any religion.
Precisely. The Etruscans were masters of symbolism. Take the Fursu, for example, a mysterious figure often depicted in their art, sometimes wearing a mask, sometimes leading a dog on a leash.
A masked figure with a dog? What does it represent?
The Fursu is thought to symbolize the journey between life and death, the mask representing the personas we wear, and the dog, a guide to the afterlife.
A guide to the afterlife. That's quite poetic.
And speaking of poetry, their rituals were nothing short of a dance with the gods. The Etruscans practiced lustral ceremonies, where they would purify themselves and their cities.
Purify? How exactly?
By offering sacrifices, conducting processions, and even engaging in sacred games, they believed they could cleanse the soul and the soil.
A spiritual cleanse for the people and their land. I can see the appeal.
Indeed, but it wasn't all solemn. They also had feasts and banquets where they would dine as if the gods were their guests.
I bet those were some divine dinner parties.
You could say that, but these feasts were more than just social events. They were a communion with the celestial.
Eating with the gods. It's like they were part of the family.
Exactly. The Etruscans didn't see the gods as distant beings, but as part of their community, their protectors, and sometimes their friends.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
As we journey through the annals of history, we find that the Etruscans didn't just fade into obscurity. They left an indelible mark on Roman culture.
Really? In what ways did they influence Rome?
In more ways than one. For starters, the Romans adopted their alphabet from the Etruscans, which was itself adapted from the Greek alphabet.
So, the very letters we use
Were shaped by Etruscan hands. And it's not just the alphabet. The Etruscans were renowned for their engineering and architecture.
I've heard about their impressive structures.
Absolutely. The Romans took inspiration from Etruscan building techniques, including the use of the arch, which became a staple in Roman architecture.
The arch, that's iconic.
Indeed. And let's not forget about the Etruscan influence on Roman religion. Many of the gods and rituals found their way into Roman worship.
So, the Etruscan gods lived on in Roman temples.
Precisely. And it wasn't just the gods. The Etruscans' belief in divination and omens heavily influenced Roman practices.
Did the Romans also read entrals?
They did, and much more. The practice of augury, interpreting the will of the gods through the flight of birds, was also an Etruscan tradition adopted by the Romans.
Bird watching with a divine purpose, huh?
Exactly, but it's not all about religion and architecture. The Etruscans also contributed to Roman social and political life.
Oh, how so?
The very structure of Roman society, including the division into classes and the concept of the republic, has roots in Etruscan civilization.
That's quite a legacy.
It is. The Etruscans may not have built an empire like Rome, but their cultural DNA is woven into the fabric of what Rome became.
So, in a way, the spirit of the Etruscans lives on.
Exactly. They may be gone, but they are far from forgotten. As we continue our exploration, let's turn our gaze to the enduring legacy of Etruscan art, a testament to their sophisticated culture.
Art, that's always been a window into the soul of a civilization.
Exactly. The Etruscans were prolific artists, their work ranging from exquisite jewelry to grandiose tombs that were more like houses for the dead.
Houses for the dead?
Yes, the Etruscans built elaborate necropolises, cities of the dead, where they celebrated life and death. These tombs were filled with frescoes that depicted vibrant scenes of feasting, dancing, and everyday life.
So, they celebrated life even in death.
They did, and it's through these vivid images that we glimpse the Etruscans' love for life. But their art wasn't just about beauty. It was also a medium of storytelling.
Storytelling? How so?
Each piece of art was a narrative, whether it was a painted vase showing a mythological scene or a sculpted sarcophagus with the likeness of its occupant.
A story in every artifact.
Precisely, and let's not forget their bronze work. The Etruscans were master metalworkers, crafting items that were both functional and aesthetically pleasing.
Craftsmanship and beauty combined.
Indeed. Their mirrors, for example, were not just reflective surfaces. They were adorned with intricate designs and inscriptions, often depicting scenes from mythology.
I can imagine the reflections of the gods in those mirrors.
Perhaps, but beyond the physical art, the Etruscans also left a legacy of musical tradition. Though we can't hear the melodies, we can see the instruments in their art.
Music that echoes through time.
Exactly. The Etruscans have long since passed, but their art continues to speak, telling us stories of a people both mysterious and familiar.
And through their art, they live on.
As our tale nears its end, we confront the greatest mystery of all, the disappearance of the Etruscan civilization.
Disappearance? What happened to them?
That, my friend, is a question that has puzzled historians for centuries. The Etruscans, once a dominant force in Italy, seemed to vanish almost without a trace.
Vanished? How is that possible?
It's a combination of factors. The rise of Roman power certainly played a part. As Rome expanded, the Etruscan cities were gradually absorbed into the Roman Republic.
So, they were assimilated.
Assimilated, yes, but there's more to it. The Etruscans faced numerous invasions and conflicts which weakened their city-states.
Conflicts?
Indeed. The Gauls from the north and the Greeks from the south put pressure on the Etruscan territories. But it wasn't just external forces. Internal strife also contributed to their decline.
A civilization torn apart from both outside and within.
Precisely, and as their political power waned, so did their cultural identity. The Etruscan language, once spoken widely, began to disappear.
A language lost to time.
Yes, and with the language, much of their history and mythology. What we know of the Etruscans comes from the archaeological record and the writings of other ancient cultures.
So, it's up to us to keep their memory alive.
Exactly. The Etruscans may have faded from the pages of history, but their influence remains. Through their art, their mythology, and the echoes of their language, they still speak to us.
And we will listen.
As we draw the curtains on our exploration of the Etruscan enigma, we reflect on the legacy of a civilization shrouded in mystery.
It's been quite the odyssey, hasn't it?
Indeed, Olivia. From their art to their deities, the Etruscans have left us with more questions than answers, a puzzle pieced together through the remnants of time.
And yet, in their silence, there's a story that speaks volumes.
That's the beauty of history, isn't it? The Etruscans teach us that even in absence, there's presence. Their vanished voices echo through the ages, urging us to seek, to learn, and to imagine.
To imagine what life was like under the Etruscan sun.
Precisely, and as we imagine, we keep their spirit alive, a spirit of innovation, of artistry, and of profound humanity.
They may be gone, but through us, they live on.
So, dear viewers, as we conclude this journey, we invite you to carry the torch of curiosity. Let the story of the Etruscans inspire you to delve into the past and discover the narratives that have shaped our world.
And who knows what mysteries you'll uncover along the way.
The past is a canvas, and every discovery is a stroke of paint on the masterpiece of history.
Here's to painting a picture of the past, one mystery at a time.
Thank you for joining us on this voyage through time. Until our next adventure, keep the flame of inquiry burning bright.
Farewell, fellow history hunters.